Hello and welcome to the first FM21 A-League Rundown. I'm Charlie, and as part of my Mariners Massive Save here on YouTube in partnership with A-League FC, we'll present a special bonus video each Sunday containing a roundup of all the events of the previous week for each A-League club. If you're a fan of an A-League side, you might be interested to know all the latest news involving your club, such as results, transfers, and staff updates. We're going alphabetically, so right at the start each week will be Adelaide United. If you're a Western Sydney Wanderers fan, you're more at the tail end. And we begin in Coopers Stadium with Adelaide United. Now their first game was against Brisbane Roar over at Dolphin Stadium actually, and they had to rely on Ben Halloran with an added time goal to earn a 1-1 draw. Just a point on opening day for the Reds. The interesting thing about Adelaide has been that they've sent out a host of young stars on loan to the lower sides in Australia. One of the key positives about Adelaide has been their development of youth over the last few years. And if you're going to start an FM21 save with any A-League team and want to do a youth sort of progression and bring through your own stars, then Adelaide are perfect for it. They've got so many. Unfortunately, they seem to have sent most of them out on loan to start with. So the likes of Pacific Neon Gabiri, he's over with Heidelberg United for the season. We've got Mohamed Toure, Campbelltown City for him. Yengi, he's over with Dandenong Thunder. And there's plenty of examples of young players that they've let out. Altona Magic have secured Bresson on loan. Madana, he's with Brunswick City. It just feels like they're putting the emphasis on somebody else to develop their talent for them and get minutes on the pitch, instead of having these young guys pressure the established stars in order for a first team spot. Just seems quite strange to me that Adelaide would go down that route. Perhaps I'm wrong. The season will tell. Brisbane Roar were their opponents in that first game. So they scored through Joey Champness. He's obviously on loan from Newcastle Jets for the season to come. Bit of a dodgy stuff there happening. He was supposed to come back, signed a contract to say that he'd return to the Jets should things not go so well over in the US with his music career. Did come back, not playing for the Jets. Officially, it's a loan to Brisbane for the season. I've said that with a straight face. I doubt you'll ever see him in Newcastle again. Big news for Brisbane has been the signing of Dylan Wenzel-Halls to a 3-year contract. So big commitment from both sides there, because you don't see a lot of 3-year contracts in the A-League. Obviously, he's come through as a youngster and has really done well for them. If I was Brisbane, I would, lay my hat on him. I'd have him as the first name on the team sheet, to be honest. His contract due to expire in 2024 now. That brings us to ourselves, the Central Coast Mariners. We had that big 5-0 win over Western Sydney Wanderers. That's taken us to the summit of the A-League, the very top of the Brunnings ladder. Yep, go with it. Just one injury concern at the moment. Bauman, I think that's how you pronounce it. A young lad, he suffered blisters in a training session, so will be out for, I think it's another couple of days. He's joined over from Holland. Big moves in terms of the staff at the club. So Tim Cahill now manages our NPL side. Of course, plenty of experience. Doing really well as a pundit here in the UK and abroad. 107 appearances for the Socceroos, 50 goals for the country as well. He's going to be assisted by Joe Mullen, another guy with lots of experience, 24 years of it, with the likes of Adelaide United and City as well. Our assistant manager, Big John Aloisi. Controversial figure, this one. I don't know whether it would go down too well with the Mariners fans, but he's our new assistant manager. I suspect he's got his eye on one of the A-League jobs later on in the season. Another guy with plenty of international experience. 55 caps to his name. We didn't have a lot of international experience in the camp, so really pleased to get hold of him. The other thing about the win is that no other player in the A-League in the opening weekend scored more than 1 goal. We had 2 players went further than that. Daniel Da Silva with 2 goals and Matt Simon with his hat-trick. Really pleased with that result there. MacArthur FC, they are the new boys this season. So they had to wait a year. The original plan was for Western Sydney Wanderers to really settle in Bankwest Stadium. They got the expansion approval at the same time as Western United. Waited a year. Obviously, the coronavirus pandemic kind of sort of made that a bit of a non-factor really with Western Sydney. But I think they've signed some really good players. And it was Marco Saseta, actually a previous A-League player with Melbourne City, scoring against his former side on the opening day for MacArthur's first competitive goal. Matt Derbyshire added to that, and they secured, the Bulls did, a 2-1 win away from home, at home against Melbourne City. Interesting that they've been linked with Yaya Toure in recent weeks here in the game. So that would be quite a signing for them if they would manage to pull off that, one of the big name players in world football over the last 15 years. He could be rocking up at MacArthur to play with the likes of Mark Milligan and Matt Derbyshire. Melbourne City, as we said, took that loss away from home against MacArthur FC in the first game. Their goal was scored by Jamie McLaren. Opening his account for the season, as you'd expect, the man is a literal cheat code. Really looking forward to seeing him again this season. He, I suspect, will be upping the Golden Boot stakes yet again. And as you can see, it was Saseta. I'm fairly sure that's how you pronounce his name. If it's not, mention it in the comments, and I will try and improve my pronunciation. I do have such respect for commentators who have to get all these names right. I struggle even, as you may have noticed, with Ben Halloran, which I'm still not convinced I'm pronouncing that right, but there you go. Melbourne victory, again another Melbourne club and another loss early doors. So they suffered a 1-0 defeat to Wellington Phoenix in their opening game. Not really much happening with the victory at the moment. They sort of done quite a lot of their business over the summer. The likes of Rudy Gestead coming in, Callum McManaman. I think if they can play a certain way, which is, I suspect, pace and width crosses into Gestead, then I think they'd be really hard to get a handle on. Big one for them has been Triple L. Luis Laurie Latanzio. He's turned down the chance to leave on loan. So whereas Adelaide was sending out a lot of their boys away on loan, he has opted to stay and really fight for his place in the team. I think he'll struggle to get in it this year with Gestead. And obviously they've got Falami as well. That's probably pronounced wrong. But he's in on loan from Ipswich. So I'm not sure that Triple L will be part of the first team that much. Newcastle Jets are actually up in second in the A-League. They got a win over Perth Glory away. So another away victory. One of the things that they have done is appointed their former boss Scott Miller as their permanent manager. So Craig Deans has stepped back to his normal role, and then in has come Scott Miller. Don't know a lot about him myself, so I'm going to hope that A-League fans out there have a bit of a handle on him. What he has done, I can tell you, is that he has listed some key players for transfer. So he's added them to the list. The likes of Luis Italiano in goal. So I'm guessing he's going with Jack Duncan, Ben Kantorowski, and Lachlan Jackson has all been transfer listed. So yeah, as you can see here, if I can have a look at him. So he was offered the Jets manager's role while with Langwarrin SC. Interesting there, his career trajectory. So he's back there with Newcastle Jets. Let's see if he can have the same impact that Carl Robinson had last year. Langlois? No idea how to pronounce this. Young Pat. There you go. He is over with Brisbane Strikers. I really have to notice how commentators say different names this season and start noting them down. Really haven't paid much attention before to that sort of thing. But don't you worry, here on the rundown, we'll make sure that we get everything right. In terms of Perth Glory, they suffered that 2-1 loss to the Jets at HBF Park. It's going to be a bit of a transitional year for Perth. Following Tony Popovich's successful season 2 years ago, then you had last year, which wasn't brilliant. This is a fresh start for them, really. They've still got the likes of Bruno Fornaroli, who I think is a fantastic striker. So he'll do big business for them again. The interesting one for me, and if we can have a quick look at the player list, is Chris Economides. He has been transfer listed after refusing to sign a new deal with a short time left on his existing contract. So interesting. Still part of the side, as you can see, he started the game there, but not signing a new deal and transfer listed. So don't expect to see much of Chris Economides when the transfer window opens. Sydney FC, they actually suffered a 2-1 loss away from home against Western United in their first game. Totally unexpected, to be honest. Not sure what happened there. But there are positives. Alex Wilkinson has signed a new 1-year contract. That'll expire in May 2022. So really popular, obviously the captain there as well. There's plenty of offers in for Patrick Flotman. So all these sides, I believe they're all from the Thai League. The likes of Wang Thong United, Chiang Rai, Chonburi. I mean, you don't get a lot of these names happening in Lancashire, here in the UK, if I'm honest. So there you go. The other one that I did want to show you, if I can find it, is a new contract signed by Adam Lafondra. So he signed a new 2-year deal at the club. So currently he's spending the season away from the club. He's out on loan in India at the moment for Mumbai City, scoring a few goals actually as well in the gritty alternative known as Real Life. He's actually signed a new 2-year contract, so he'll be back in the A-League for next season. That's quite an interesting one. So I think in real life he's only got 1 year left, which he'll spend away from the club and then make a decision. So here in the world of the Mariners Massive, he has actually signed a new 2-year deal. Ninkovic, now an Australian citizen, so that's going to help their registration rules, which of course are plenty here in Australia. Wellington Phoenix, now they got that win over Melbourne Victory. So a lot of inconsistent predictions about Wellington Phoenix this season. Nobody's quite sure where they'll end the campaign. Some people have them as A-League FC do. We have them up in the top 4. Some have them bottom 3, I've seen. Some outside the top 6, some in. I think of all clubs, they're the ones that people aren't quite sure about. They've appointed Stefan Marinovic as their captain here on Football Manager 21, with Luke De Vere acting as the vice-captain. It was a late win over the Victory, thanks to Clayton Lewis. So I did see, I think it was Joey Lynch yesterday, saying that he was really excited to see Clayton Lewis playing for the Knicks in the coming year. And as you can see, he's got off to a good start, getting the goal against Melbourne Victory and securing player of the match. Both De Villa and Hamed have been transfer listed by request. Bit of an interesting one. So Louis Fenton, the club do not believe he has a long-term future with them. And as you can see down here, we've got the request, transfer listed by request. David Ball's on the transfer list. The club do not have a role for him to play, despite starting him as a striker. Bit of a surprise. Josh Sotirio, club don't have a role for him. And there, Tom Hamed, the new striker, transfer listed by request already. Surprising. I'm not sure what's happening there under Ufuk Talai over in Wellington, which obviously is actually Wollongong for the coming year. So yeah, really confusing things are happening over at the Knicks. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but another good opportunity for a save. If you're interested in Football Manager 21, I would recommend the Knicks highly to get involved with. And our last club for today is Western Sydney Wanderers. So Western Sydney obviously lost 5-0 to Central Coast Mariners. Patrick Ziegler suffered an injury. He's going to be out for between 4 and 7 weeks. So plenty of concerns for them. That was due to sprained knee ligaments. So suffering a bit of a knock there. So as you can see, the likes of Dylan McGowan and Ziggy Gordon, Tas Mordekoutis, hopefully we'll see more of him. And obviously Daniel Wilmering came on for Ziegler actually in the game itself as we ran out 5-0 winners in Gosford. We'll now just have a look at the league table, just to give you a quick sight of it. It's after one game, doesn't really mean very much. But there you can see Central Coast Mariners, top of the list with a goal difference of 5. You've got the Jets, Western United, MacArthur and Wellington Phoenix, all with wins on the board. Not going to happen in the actual real life A-League. I can assure you of that. Those 5 are not going to pick up wins in the first week, mostly because I think the Mariners play the Jets, so it's impossible. But they have the table after just one game. Western Sydney Wanderers, and I'm sure there'll be a few fans of other clubs pleased to see them rooted to the foot. In terms of the upcoming fixtures for next week, so we've got 4 fixtures to take place on Thursday, so New Year's Eve. The big one obviously being the Sydney Derby. Sydney FC take on Western Sydney Wanderers, so 2 clubs who lost their opening games. Then we've got MacArthur against Perth. Western United host Melbourne Victory. City are at home against the Knicks. Our fixture is away at Brisbane Roar, so they had a point in their first game. And then Newcastle Jets host Adelaide United at the McDonald Jones Stadium. Thank you for joining me for Rundown. This is the first episode where we've looked at all the different clubs and what's happening. We'll do this every week, and I will see you again.